Hello everyone, it's Deborah from the attic, and today I want to show you what happened to the faux leather journals I created in a previous video and what I did with those. So this one has had 3 signatures sewn in. I think that the binding is a little bit close. Those holes are a little bit close together, given that this is only treated paper or treated cardstock. But it's a nice little notebook, beautifully lined with a lovely fabric, and that's ideal for what it does. But I improved on this. This was the result of my improvements on the first one. I went with just 1 signature in this one because I felt that was a little bit stronger. Again, there's fabric on the inside, and that strengthens the cover as well. I love the, this has been embossed and then inked and then sealed with an acrylic sealer, and I really like the effect that that gives you. It is like faux leather. It's lovely, and it's a nice size as well. I like this size of booklet. And inside I did a little bit more work on adding little tuck spots and pockets and little pieces of ephemera. There's some stamping down the side, there's some little photographs added into more tuck spots. I did some sewing of pages from a book and some lace, and here is another little tuck spot with a tag, and I've backed the tag so that you can write on that as well. And then I used some leaves. These are old skeleton leaves. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. Bit of a random thing, but I had them, and then I tucked them in with some lace and sewed them in place. More pieces of backed ephemera. So I made the book a little bit more interesting, and I had a little play with ways of making pockets and stamping and all that sort of thing. And I added some stamps here as well. These are actually Turkish stamps, but they fitted with the colour that I wanted. More printed ephemera. So that's how that little book turned out, and the centre is in there, and it's just tied. They're just loose. So that's that one, and these are all tea-stained papers as well that have gone into here. But because I'm preparing for a road trip, I did something a little bit more elaborate for myself, and this is it. It's Kraft-Tex, which is this material, which is quite amazing material. It's like paper, it's got properties like leather. It's very resistant to being torn and that sort of thing, although you can cut through it nice and easily. I used that to make my cover, and I embossed it and I inked it, and then I used a matte acrylic spray to seal this. So it has been sealed. Because it's a road trip and because it's France, the idea of the bicycle, the old penny farthing bicycle, is a bit of a just a hint to me that it's a Tour de France with the bike. This is an image printed onto fabric. This is printable fabric, and you let it dry, you peel off the backing, and then you can sew it and use it like ordinary fabric, and it's good fun. And I think it fitted with the fact that I'd used some lace. This is some old vintage lace. This dates from about 1930 as far as the seller was able to tell me. So it's lovely and old, and it fitted with the style of book that I wanted. On the reverse, because it's sort of on the reverse and it's coming to the end of the tour, I put somebody again on a bicycle with some lace underneath it. This isn't vintage lace, this is just normal lace that I've bought. It's sort of a cotton crochet lace. And he's raising his hat as if to say that's the end of the race. It's tied very, very simply. This has been a bit of a rush job to get this one ready in time for me to go away and take it with me, so I may well elaborate on this closure. But what the closure does is it means that I can add some little words here that will mean something to me when I come back to look at this journal in the future. And when I open the book like that, it means that they're all attached. I'm not going to have to worry that they will fall off. So, but I realise this isn't very sophisticated. I made a charm for it as well. These are just some beads that I had in my collection. So because this is a sort of a brown and blue journal, these fitted nicely, and I've got some butterflies and a bird and a key and just lovely dangly things. So that is attached to the front. On the inside, I've made, this is held in place with a little Velcro spot, and I made a bookmark just because I was having a little play around and having some fun. So the bookmark sits in there. And then I've got various pages. It's still not quite as finished as I would have liked it to be, but it's fine, it's usable. I've added some lace down the side, I've got a tuck spot in that pocket there, and also in this envelope. This isn't sealed in place, this envelope, it's free, because as I go on my journey, I may well decide to put something in there and leave it loose or whatever. And then there's a tag which has got a great quote about Paris, and that sits in there, and this is backed with tea-stained paper, so I can write on the reverse of that if I want to. I've added, this is a picture of my dog laughing. So this is my dog laughing his head off, having a great time. I don't know what the joke was, but he thought it was very, very funny. And I've turned this into a little travel note booklet, so it's got plenty of pages in there, and I can add more photographs if I want to. I'm using a Hewlett-Packard Sprocket printer. It prints out little photos about 2 by 3. They're not large, but when you're on the move, when you're touring around as we will be, that's absolutely perfect, and it means that I capture memories that maybe otherwise I wouldn't capture. On this side I've got some more little quotes that I've made up here, little words that mean something to me, and these are just printed off on my computer on white paper, and then I cut them out. And then on the inside is another little space for me to add some details if I want. I've added a little tag there that says New Horizons. I've got some paper on the front of that and just some cut out bits and bobs so that I can make little notes as I go. I can make photos and I can hide them in here if I want to. That tucks in there nicely and folds in. There's another tag with a quote about France, about being in Paris particularly. Again, another Paris one. Some envelopes that I've added and some lace, and then this is words that I want to take with me. So what I've done is I've taken a tag, I've folded it in half, I've folded it up there, and then on the top I've glued a piece of paper, and I've printed onto the piece of paper something that just says le mot juste, the right word. So that's because these are my cutout words. I've actually printed these onto sticker paper. So they represent some of the destinations, some of the places that we know we're going to pass through or visit or spend some time in. So they're ready to go with any photographs that I take, and then they're in a glassine bag which I've made, and there's a little piece of paper over the top there just to stop things spilling out, and that sits in there, and the whole thing is tied and kept in place with just a piece of twine and a bow. And there's some beautiful silk. This is silk ribbon. I absolutely love this. It's got such a lovely fall to it. It cascades, and it's a beautiful ribbon, so that ties everything there. Then there's, in the centre, I've got a lovely sheet of blue paper. This is just there because I love this paper. Some ribbon, which I've gathered a little bit, and then this is also a tuck spot. Now, this is pretty cool because this is a piece of ephemera that I bought a couple of weeks ago, and this is a genuine, I love this. It is a genuine postcard. It was sold like this in this packet for 20p, ever so cheap. And this dates from 1909, and it's a postcard that somebody has written to somebody in Clichy in France. I haven't been able to interpret it yet because I haven't spent any time working out that writing. But I hope at some point I'll be able to sit down and work out what that says. So that sits in there. The reason that I'm taking that with me is because I'm hoping to visit some flea markets and maybe find more of that sort of thing. I actually bought that in England, but I'm hoping that I can find some more things in France. This is another envelope with a little tuck space. I've added these little pieces of fabric at the top, and they match this ribbon that I gathered down the side. And they don't mark anything in particular. I just like that when it's sealed, they stick out the top. Here's another little tuck spot, and I've taken some of the fabric that I used to line the book with, and I've just glued it in place under this pocket. This is more travel notes. This is another little booklet, and I've got the dates of my my tour in here, and I can write in there whatever I want, whatever thoughts are about the places that we visited. I've got a couple of tags that are backed and tied in place with a ribbon. Incidentally, in these two little books I made, it's just gathered in the centre. Can you see there's some little bit of twine there through 2 holes and then tied in the top. This is another little tuck spot that's got nothing tucked into it, so I'm going to just grab something. I'll grab these 2 little tags and I'll tuck those in, otherwise I'll forget that's there. This is a page that I just ripped a little bit, and that's my final page. And then at the end I've got a frame, an ornate frame. This has been embossed. I've gone over it with some gold paste as well. Let me just find that for you. It's this stuff, gilding wax. And I used Empire Gold just to go around that. And 2 little brads that don't actually hold it in place. The brads are glued into place. The whole thing is glued into place with Faux, saying end of my tour. So that's my book, and I hope to fill that up while we're away. I've got a craft kit ready with my printer and pencils and pens and glue and all sorts of things, but it fits into a very nice, neat, small little space. And hopefully I'll be able to spend some time crafting and doing some stuff while we're actually on the road. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.